Hello and welcome in, you guys. We got the post-game show for One Piece chapter 1149 today. So how this works is that we will go through the previous video's comment section just to see what the main takeaway was from 1149. What are the main opinions, the main theories, and what is everybody talking about in regards to this last chapter. So that being said, my name is Sai, and let's just get into it. Transition time. Okay, there we go. First comment right here, top comment says, I think Gunko was a child of some previously unaffiliated kingdom in the West Blue where Brook was also a citizen or a royal guard. Yes, 100%. I think this is essentially confirmed. I don't think there's any reason to not believe this. Unless you think that Brook went traveling and then he's on a different island and then he met Gunko. But I think the simplest answer is that yes, Gunko was on the same island that Brook is affiliated with. And of course, there's a good chance that it is also an unaffiliated nation as well. So, after Brook left the kingdom, the God Knights came in and took the children as slaves, one of them being Gunko. Not bad. Yeah, I think that's pretty plausible, right? Somehow, some way, Gunko ended up in the Holy Land. Them taking kids as slaves, that is pretty on par for the Celestial Dragons. Next, they say they used the kids as test subjects. Experiments were for Emu to possess the body so that Emu could go outside. I believe Emu has some sort of weakness to sunlight due to some curse of Nika. We can confirm this with Bonnie's case with the blue sapphire scale disease. Saturn did the experiment on the kids so that Emu could lift the curse. That's not bad. I do enjoy this theory a decent amount, and it does tie into another theory that is pretty popular, and that's the theory that Emu is a literal shadow. You know how people kind of joke around saying, oh, like Emu's a silhouette, you know, he doesn't actually have a real body, there is no reveal? Maybe that's the case. You know, maybe Emu is just a living shadow creature monster person, and they genuinely could not go out underneath the sun. It would kind of be like a callback to Thriller Bark, how after Moria took the Straw Hat's shadows, they couldn't step out into the dawn. You know, the sunlight would just evaporate them on the spot. For Emu, maybe it's the same thing. Maybe, like you said, it is some curse of Nika, or maybe that's just how Emu was born, which would be kind of sad, actually. I do like the curse of Nika idea, though. It reminds me of Naruto. Sorry, I know people don't like it when I bring up references like this, but that's just where my mind wanders. But it's kind of like Naruto, where Orochimaru got his hand sealed by the third Hokage in the OG series, and then Orochimaru had to find a new body so that he can finally use his hands again. And that's why he was grooming Sasuke. And before Sasuke, it was Kinimaru, sorry. Love Kinimaru, the bone guy. Yeah. He was grooming him. He didn't work out because he got sick. And then Sasuke was just the next best option. But yeah, it could totally be like that. And maybe back in the past, he had another person he was going to take over, like Lily, for example. That didn't work out. And now, like you said, he's experimenting on kids to find another suitable body. And another reason I like this idea that Emu can't go out into the sun is because the Holy Land is under attack right now. Think about that for a second. The Holy Land, Emu's home, is under attack. But instead of fighting on the home front, Emu decided to possess a body that is here in Elbaph. Why? Why not defend his home turf? Why is he taking time out of his day to come over here? And also, I know people don't like it when I call Emu him because we don't know Emu's exact gender, but that's just kind of where my mind goes as well, right? Emu could be a girl, could be a guy. I'm just going to go with him for now until proven otherwise. I feel like it's just simple. And Emu sounds like a guy's name, at least in my opinion. So yeah, forgive me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I do think that this is the case. Emu needs Gunko and the rest of the God Knights to go back to the Holy Land to defend it, because Emu himself or herself cannot actually do it because it's daytime, right? It's daytime in Elbaph. It's most likely daytime up in the Holy Land as well. And hey, if this is the case, man, all I gotta say is that you should never attack Marie Joie at night, and especially not at 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
It's nice that we had several fan theories confirmed in this chapter. Gunko being someone of Brook's old past, Gunko being a literal vessel for Emu, and Marie Joie being attacked the moment the Holy Knights mobilized for anything. Yep, I like it. And the main thing too is that, you know, I saw this comment right down below too before I hopped into it. They say the people make hundreds of theories every day. Of course, sooner or later, some of them turn out to be true. That's not knowledge though. And you know, that is the case, right? Thousands and thousands of theories are made every day. But the difference is that these are actual popular theories, right? We're not talking about theories that only got 1 or 2 upvotes on Reddit or on Twitter. We're talking about theories that were generally accepted in the community, which is pretty cool. And I do think this latest chapter is one of the main reasons Oda talked about YouTube theories in the last radio show, where he kind of said he didn't like the fact that people were predicting plot points right, which could have been taken out of context, but he said that nonetheless. So yeah, it is nice seeing that people are getting these W's. You know, I didn't exactly agree with the Gunko Emu vessel portion, but I still celebrate it, man. You know, I love seeing people get things right. You know, I got no hatred in my heart, except for certain characters. So I think Brook could have been the top officer and confidant of the royal family of whatever kingdom he fought for, and Gunko was the princess of that kingdom, and Brook was also in charge of looking after her, and probably sang her songs when she was little. I love this. Oda left Gunko's backstory with Brook so vague, right? We only got 2 panels. He left it so vague that we can cook up headcanon like this, and I love it, brother. I love this idea. And as far as Brook being a top officer of the kingdom, I can see that, right? I didn't notice it at first, but if you look at the panel at the very end of the chapter where Brook is silhouetted, he has knight-ish armor on. He has Spalding on. You could see his sword on his hip, and he does look knightly, if a silhouette can look that way, right? So yeah, I would love that, and maybe that is the case here. Maybe he was kind of like the Usopp to Princess Kaya, you know, just over here telling tales, singing songs. And maybe Brook even inspired Gunko to become a pirate one day. Because you gotta imagine, 90% of the songs that Brook knows are pirate shanties. So yeah, I love this idea. And I feel like the Brook backstory is going to be a surprise tearjerker. Alright, so this comment says, like a dragon said, a parent's weakness is their children. Yeah, and the funniest part about this as well is that Dragon doesn't have to say this. Like, we're attributing this line, this profound line, to Dragon because he said it in verse, but I'd like to imagine everybody's weakness would be their children, right? Like, Dragon doesn't have to say it. I think it's like an innate thing for humans, and if I had a kid, man, I'd be fighting tooth and nail for him. I'd be just like Scopper. The minute you point a sword at him, I'm just dropping the axe, man. F Elbaph. I wish I could save it, but gotta save the kid first, right? That is his treasure. Which also, I forgot to mention this in my review video of the chapter, but Scopper does call Colin his lifetime treasure. And I just think back to God Valley and how the Celestial Dragons stole the treasure of Hachinosu. Back when that chapter was making the rounds, I heard some people have theories that the treasure of Hachinosu was actually a kid, like Roxy Zebek's son or daughter. And I didn't exactly believe those theories in the past, but now that we have Scopper explicitly calling Colin a treasure, his lifetime treasure, I kind of pay that theory a little bit more heed now, right? Like the treasure of Hachinosu maybe being the son of Roxy Zebek, I think they could have been cooking. And plus, we do know that Shanks was found in a treasure chest, so maybe Shanks was another treasure, you know, the treasure of the Fergarland family, perhaps. So yeah, I think, you know, Rox's kid could be out there somewhere, and it could even be somebody we know, too. You know, I don't agree with the theory yet, but I have seen people saying that maybe Buggy is the child of Roxy Zebek, which I think is kind of wild, but, I mean, it's One Piece, man. You know, Oda surprises us at every turn, so if that were to happen, wouldn't really shock me. Speaking of not shocking, this person says, wouldn't surprise me if Soul King Brook would be the one freeing Gunko's soul from Emu. I completely agree with you. So when it comes to freeing Gunko and severing that connection between Gunko and Emu, there's only 2 real candidates that could do that on this island, in my opinion, and that would be Sun God Nika Luffy and Soul King Brook. While yes, Luffy is the liberator, he is the sun god, I feel like it would make more sense if Brook were to do it, just because he has that inherent connection with Gunko. And not to mention, you know, forget the soul powers for a minute, but Brook has the power of music on his side. And music is powerful, right? Especially here in the final saga, we've seen how Oda is bringing music back to the forefront with the Drums of Liberation, with Film Red. So yeah, maybe music is the key to bringing Gunko back to our side. And here's the thing too, people typically see Luffy as the main and only liberator in the series, but that's not exactly true. I view all the Straw Hats as liberators, so Brook taking up this role and doing it wouldn't exactly shock me. And, not to mention, but back in Fishman Island, you know, Brook did whip out the Sun God Nika dance when he was fighting the fishmen. So, maybe Brook does that one more time, and that is how he saves Gunko. I mean, we've already seen it right here, right? Gunko has heard Brook's songs in the past, so all he has to do is play whatever he played her back in the past, and maybe that will unlock some more memories, and the Gunko that is buried deep inside can finally start fighting back against Imu. If Imu is connected to Gunko in a way that's completely different than the connection with all the other God Knights and the Five Elders, that would put a completely different connotation behind Gunko's biggest fear being the Sun God. Yep, that right there could just simply be a fear of Imu, and or, since Gunko is this empty vessel for Imu to take over, maybe, after they erased her memories, they simply filled her head with world government propaganda. Or maybe she read Imu's diary, and Imu just kept on writing over and over, I hate the Sun God, I hate the Sun God, kill Nika, kill Nika. Maybe that's it. But yeah, I think this does put a different connotation on Gunko's biggest fear being the Sun God. And funny enough, this was one of the main reasons why people initially thought that Gunko was simply going to be Imu down the road. The next comment says, gotta say, Brook has an amazing memory for remembering Gunko even after 50 years of delusion, plus the years of pirating. He might cook again this arc. His devil fruit is kinda meta in these cases of possession. Yes, it is. And I wonder, man, I know we say this every arc and we say this with every single Straw Hat that has the devil fruit, but will Brook awaken? I want to see what an awakening of the Soul Solo Me can actually do. Would he be able to free Gunko's soul? Could he sever Imu's soul from Gunko? Could he go inside of Gunko and help her out and regain her memories? Would he be able to raise skeletons and have his own army like Sun Jinwoo? I don't know. So hopefully Brook does end up flexing his Yomi Yomi no Mi this arc, and hopefully, like I said, he is the one who helps Gunko from her case of possession. Because brother, Imu is acting like an evil spirit over here, possessing people, you know, giving them different eyes, silhouetting them and making them look scary, talking via telepathy. Like, yeah, we need Brook to have a soul battle against this dude. The next comment says, Elbaph will be Usopp's arc. Brook. Yo ho ho ho, yeah. Dude, it's not just Brook, man, but a lot of the Straw Hats are stealing the show, right? I mean, Frankie has this building from 3,000 years ago just sitting, waiting for him to go inside of it. Robin has Saul, and she had her moment last chapter against St. Somers. Jimbei put out another fire. Brook is getting backstory. And Usopp, he got drunk, and that was pretty much it. Granted, I mean, Elbaph isn't over yet. I do think Usopp will have some meaningful character development here. He might even get a power-up. I don't know. I still believe it, though. It is just way too soon to say anything. You know, I get it, right? The memes write themselves. I know Oda knows what he's doing. You know, he knows that he's kind of pushing Usopp into this back corner. But whenever Usopp's in a corner, that is when he typically shines. Or at least that's what we've all been telling ourselves for the past 10 years. On to the next comment. They say, I hadn't even considered this until now, but Sabo and Dragon could be an insanely destructive duo because Dragon's wind powers can help strengthen Sabo's flames and make them spread faster. Yes, Dragon and Sabo could be absolutely nuts. And not to mention, if Bello Betty is buffing them on the side, brother, you know, Bello Betty has the rally no me. She gives people these insane support buffs. So you buff them up on top of all of this? My God, my God. But now, here comes the big question though. But are Dragon and Sabo the ones responsible for the flames at Marie Joie? I hope so. You know, nobody's commented it yet, but I really do hope that the revolutionaries are the ones causing Marie Joie's turmoil right now. I think it would be awesome if Dragon and Sabo were there. They're running amok. And that is why they summoned Shamrock back a couple chapters ago. And if that is the case, if Shamrock is over there fighting Dragon, Sabo, and the Revs, how is he faring? Because it looks like Emu came to this island to ask, why are people dawdling? Why are people taking their time? Why are they not back at the Holy Land yet to assist them in their war? And it's like, yo, like, is Dragon and Sabo and the Revs, are they really pushing back the Gorosei? Are they really pushing back Shamrock and Garling and all them? Because that'd be insane. That would be absolutely insane. And here's the thing too, man. But if the Holy Land really is in trouble, the admirals would be summoned, right? Akainu would go, Fujitora would go, Green Bull would go, Kizaru might even go. So whoever is attacking the Holy Land, they've got to have a lot of heavy hitters. And I believe that Dragon is that guy. I believe Dragon is powerful. But Dragon and Sabo leading the charge against all of those dudes? I don't know, man. That is why I kind of put my money on multiple factions being in the Holy Land. Like maybe the Revs are there, maybe Shanks is there, maybe even Blackbeard's there. And that is why Emu needs additional forces. Because think about all the heavy hitters on the WG side, bro. Gorosei, God Knights, Admirals, maybe even VAs. You know, people don't like the VAs because they're kind of fodder, but I like those guys. The VAs could be there. And you're telling me they need additional forces? Yeah, man, something absolutely foul must be going on up there. And, you know, when I think about the Revs too, like Sabo and Dragon really are just the heavy hitters. Maybe I'm wrong to say this, but I just don't put a lot of respect on characters like Ushiano, Giron, Gamba, Ahiru, even Bello Betty, right? I say Bello Betty's a great support character, but that's all she is. She's just a support character, man. And then Lindbergh's kind of lame. I like Karasu. Morley's not bad either. Ivankov is there. Ivankov is strong, but Ivankov lost to Magellan pretty handily. You know, Inazuma's there, and Inazuma also lost against Magellan. I don't know. Maybe I'm just underestimating the Revs, but I really do think that when the Revs fight, Sabo, Dragon, Carson, Morley are like their main combatants. And will they really be enough to push back the entire world force? That's where I'm torn. That is where I'm torn. The next comment after that says, "We need military power now. Why are you taking so much time?" These words from Emu showing the desperate situation of needing the giant support, and the only obstacle standing in their way is the son of Dragon. Things are really getting crazy. Goosebumps all ahead. Yeah, Emu, man. It sounds like he's backed into a corner, but maybe, you know, if the first comment was right, maybe Emu just can't go outside and support the Holy Land himself. And that is why when the sun goes down, maybe Emu will cleanse everybody. But of course, that's just a theory. So, next comment. This one says, "Not sure of Gunko Emu's powers, but this sets up Loki versus Gunko part 2 now." Then, Brook finds a way to depossess Gunko from the abyss through music. Loki gets heralded as the hero of Elbaph for fighting against Emu. Oh, yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. If Loki does step in, and if Loki puts out the fires and defeats Emu Gunko, then maybe his crimes will be forgiven. No, that could totally be it, right? Because I don't think Loki should be branded as, you know, the most heinous guy in Elbaph forever. I feel like we need to clear his name somehow, some way. So maybe this is the first step towards that. He simply fights against Gunko Emu, and he wins. The main thing I'm curious about, though, in this scenario, is if Loki ends up fighting Gunko Emu, what will Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji be doing on the side? And same with Haruden as well. Like, we have a lot of characters on Elbaph's side as opposed to the world government side, right? Because right now, it's just Gunko, Emu, Killingham, and Sommers. That's only 3 villains. We have a lot of heavy hitters on our side that need matchups. So I wouldn't mind if Gunko Emu is a combination battle. Like maybe it's Loki and Luffy who end up taking them on, for example. And then on the side, we can even have Zoro and Sanji versus Saint Sommers and Saint Killingham. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Or it could be another tag battle where Zoro and Sanji work together, which we haven't seen in a very long time. But that'd be kind of odd since, you know, Scopper put Sommers in the dirt pretty quickly this chapter. So needing Zoro and Sanji to take down a Somers level opponent feels a little bit off, but maybe they don't have time on their side. Maybe they have to work together because time necessitates it. But either way, you know, I want to see what the matchups end up looking like. Will Usopp get a battle? Will Robin run the fade again? What will Chopper do, right? Chopper ran after Scopper in this chapter to find out how Scopper actually hurt the Holy Knights. Will Chopper get a fight because of that? I don't know, man. You know, hopefully Emu... Okay, I was about to say maybe Emu summons more God Knights, and that is how we even out the playing field. But he can't do that. You know, Emu cannot send more Holy Knights to Elbaph because the Holy Land is under attack. So yeah, I think this is all we have right here. Just Gunko Emu, Somers, and Killingham. Man, they are just severely outnumbered, huh? This comment says, watch Oda give Brooks, would you please show me your panties joke? A sad as F backstory. Dude, I can already see it. Like, maybe this joke really made Gunko laugh as a kid. Or maybe Brooks said this to Gunko's mom or sister or Gunko's dad or something. Or maybe, like, you know, somebody died and all that was left of their body was their pelvis, and that pelvis had panties on. Okay, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I do agree. I think Brook is set up for a really sad backstory. Brook's backstory was already sad with the Rumbar Pirates, but I think Oda's gonna double up on it, man. You know, I still think Brooks is like one of the saddest out of the entire crew, and Oda's gonna go at it again, man. He's gonna go at it again. This one says, loved the relinquish thumbnail. Thank you, brother. So a lot of people may already know this, but for a lot of spoiler videos, if not all the spoiler videos, I do put in Yu-Gi-Oh card thumbnails. It's because I try not to spoil through the thumbnail and or title, which of course leads it to be a little bit clickbaity, right? Like, oh, this big thing happened, there's a plot twist. But I have to be kind of abstract about it, right? If I want to try to not spoil people who just scroll on YouTube. So yeah, I pick Yu-Gi-Oh card thumbnails all the time. I love doing it. And typically, not in all cases, but typically the card does correlate to the chapter. Like, for example, I picked Relinquished because in Yu-Gi-Oh, Relinquish's ability is to capture and use one of your opponent's monsters, which is exactly what happened in this chapter, right? Emu came in, he acted as Relinquished, and they took over Gunko. So yeah, I love throwing in the Yu-Gi-Oh references. Gunko is the Uta of the Holy Knights, and Emu possessing Gunko is like Todd Musica possessing Uta. At the end of Film Red, Yatsop and Usopp's observation haki was needed to defeat Todd Musica and free Uta. Maybe it will be the same in Elbaph. I love that. I absolutely love this. And another thing that ties in Gunko to Uta would be the fact that they both have headphones on. I know that's like a minute thing, but I thought that was kind of interesting too. So yeah, I would personally love it if Gunko is supposed to be inspired by Uta. And we do know that Oda was one of the main writers for Film Red, and the other writers of Film Red know the ending of One Piece as a whole. So if we see Film Red elements and or plot points implemented here into Elbaph and or the final few battles, I would not be super shocked. I do think Usopp and Yasopp's observation haki, where they could connect via eyes, is going to play a role. And maybe that's even what Emu is doing here, right? Because you gotta remember, Gunko, her eyes turned into Emu's eyes. When we saw the flashback happen, Oda zoomed in to Gunko's left eye, and then when Emu took over, Oda zoomed in to Gunko's right eye. So there is some weird eye observation thing going on here. So maybe Usopp will actually be key to saving Gunko. And maybe Brook has to use his soul abilities to give it an extra oomph. But yeah, I would not be super shocked if this does end up being the case. And we need Usopp to awaken his insane observation haki that he doesn't even know that he has. Gunko having Emu-sama's eyes while she's being possessed will make them come back. The theories about Mihawk's eyes. Oh yeah, that is true. I have seen a couple of people talking about Mihawk's eyes, like what does it mean for him? And quite honestly, I don't know. Personally, I am on the boat that Mihawk is a celestial dragon to some extent. He could be a bastard child. He could be a legitimate celestial dragon. Either way, I believe that he is a CD. But Was he supposed to be another vessel for Emu though? I don't think so. And that's simply because we have had other characters with ringed eyes as well, like Caribou, right? Caribou has ringed eyes, and we don't know what that means for him because he's not special, right? Mihawk is special, Gunko is special, Emu is special. Caribou, I can't say he's not special because he's still very relevant to the storyline right now because he knows about the ancient weapons, because he is with Blackbeard. But I don't think Caribou has that connection either. The other character with a ringed eye would be Hakuba, which is Cavendish's split personality. And I don't know where that's going either, but with Hakuba, that one is kind of interesting though, now that I think about it, because Hakuba is actively trying to take over Cavendish's body. So yeah, maybe the ringed eyes do symbolize possession to some extent. But even if that is the case though, I just don't know how Mihawk and Caribou tie into that. Are we saying that they're also possessed? Because I can't see that happening yet. I don't know. This is one of those things that we got to keep in our back pockets. I think there will be some meaning to it, but I can't put down a concrete guess yet. Like, there's a bunch of like quarter guesses, but there's nothing concrete that I can exactly land on right now. So for the last comment, they say, if Gunko's the child with Brook that's heavily implied in the chapter, then a lot of shipping potential for these two just got sunk while burning. Were people already shipping them? Is that a thing? I don't see the shipping potential for them. I love Gunko, by the way. The minute we saw Gunko as a God Knight, I was smitten, brother. But I never once shipped her with Brook. I feel like Brook was more like a mentor for Gunko. Brook was like the Usopp to Kaya, like I mentioned earlier. That's kind of how I view them right now. But that's just me, man. When it comes to the shipping potential for Brook, maybe Brook was with Gunko's mom, Gunko's sister, or something of the sort. The backstory for Gunko and Brook right now is so open that you could literally fit the pieces in wherever you want. But yeah, with that being said though, guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for being here and spending your time with me. I freaking appreciate it as per usual. And thank you guys so much for commenting on the previous video, because without those comments, we wouldn't have this video we have today. So yeah, let me see here. Anything I want to end off on? Not really. Oh, shameless plugs. I do have a gaming channel on the side called Syvduck, Syvduck, here on YouTube, and over on Twitch, where I live stream and play games every other day. And I also have an anime reaction channel over at Somnus Reacts here on YouTube as well, where I post reactions to One Piece and any other airing animes this season that catch my interest. So yeah, feel free to check those out if you want to. If you don't want to, that works too. I don't blame you guys. You guys are here for One Piece, and you already stuck around for this video, so I can't really ask for too much more. But yeah, you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all when 1150's spoilers drop. Take care till then. Signing out. Right. That was great.